Dear young African comms professional, your future self has something to say. Hi there and welcome to My Younger Self. Dear Young African Comms Professional, a special podcast mini-series by PR Visions Africa in partnership with the Comms Mentorship Circle. I am your host, Blessing Emanuel Macaulay. This series is about real stories, unfiltered, reflective, and grounded in the truths that we wish someone had told us earlier in our careers. Today's guest is a force in African and global communications. I am joined by Lolade Nwanze. She is a Chief Marketing Officer at Minetrade, and she's a seasoned media, PR, and communication strategist with nearly 2 decades of experience across journalism, technology, investment, and advocacy. From her early days in the newsroom to leading digital transformation at The Guardian Nigeria, and now as a tech communication specialist and managing editor at Daily Times Nigeria, Lolade's story is layered, insightful, and deeply rooted in purpose. She holds an MBA in media leadership. She has been interviewed by global platforms like CNN and Deutsche Welle, and she is now recognized as an exceptional talent in digital technology by Tech Nation UK. But today we go beyond her resume. We talk about pivots, pressures, passions, and what her younger self would have needed to hear. Let's get into this rich conversation with Lolade Nwanze. Hi Lolade, thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of the podcast.
Hello, Blessing. Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm really stoked.
Awesome. I'm excited to hear that. Thank you. So we will get into how you started. How did you get into comms? Did comms find you or you found comms?
In many ways, I'd say that comms kept teasing me of its existence, even while I worked in the media. So my background is in journalism, and I started off as a field reporter and went from there to becoming editor, running columns, and then, taking over as a managing editor of taking care of the digital transformation of the Guardian Nigeria at the time. And then through all of this, if you work in media, you know that you interface a lot with comms professionals, PR professionals especially. It's either they're sending you this press release or inviting you to this event or telling you about this, this other thing or the other. And so in so many ways, it just kept teasing me from growing up at the start of my career. I mean, it's nearly 2 decades now, actually 20 years at the end of this year. But then, so in so many ways, I've been introduced that way. And so it just got to a point I feel like, okay, you know what? Let's go and find out fully what this really is about. And I think that's how I ended up making the pivot. I feel like I'd proven my point in journalism. And so I needed a new challenge, needed to take on something new. And I'm trained in PR also because I did spend about 5 years at the Nigerian Institute of Journalism. And so part of my training involves public relations. So I had done the print, I had done TV, I had gotten radio certifications. And I'm like, okay, now we've not done the PR part of this entire academic journey. So let's go and say what is on the PR side of things. And lo and behold, here I am today doing PR and comms full time.
Fantastic. So I also have background in journalism, but I started in mass communication. So my first degree is in mass communication. My second degree is in communication and language arts. So I would say I found comms. Like I shared in one of the episodes on this podcast already, I found comms, not like comms found me. But I see that you put in the intentional work to get integrated in the communication system. And before we get into the tea, why we are here, I want to ask this question, and it's specifically because there are a lot of people that come and say, that put on their bio, on their wherever it is, they say PR strategist, they say PR strategist, influencer, journalist, everything. And for someone like you that has come from the media and then you have found your way into comms and you're still doing great stuff, would you say that, how would you advise someone in, say, a journalist that wants to transition to comms to begin?
So the transitioning phase, I'd say that yeah, it's quite interesting because for someone like me, my path is not quite linear, right? And the transitioning wasn't exactly planned. But then along the line, when I decided that, okay, I spent about 14 years in journalism, and I'd gotten to the peak really of digital news administration, talking about from the business side now in Nigeria at the time, like, okay, I needed now to move. And I said, okay, let me move on into comms. And then I went into comms consulting. How does it work? First of all, like I said, part of your work as a journalist includes you daily interfacing with PR people, right? So be nice to them, be kind to them, honestly. That's where I'd say that it starts from, because yeah, what you sow, you would reap at the end of the day. So if you want to transition to comms, again, I'd say that wherever you are, first of all, put in your best. Every opportunity that comes your way, put in your very best, and then have a plan for your life. I'm not saying that things are going to go according to that plan, because life always happens, but there's nothing like you actually having a vision before you and a purpose, and then you trying to build towards something. That way you're not easily swayed by anything. Right. So after you are, maybe say you are currently in journalism and are looking to transition, look for the opportunities. You have friends already in PR and comms that try to get stuff published with you. When you have conversations with them, find out more about what they do first up, because it's easy for you to think that PR is just about you sending press releases to media people, and that is not even, that's just one of the many hats you're going to wear. So make sure that first of all you are informed about what it really is to be a comms professional, and be sure that's what you really want to do. That is what you really want to do for the next phase of your life. And how do you do that? There are loads of materials online nowadays. See what does a comms professional do? You know, where are the different places I could work as a comms professional? Oh, what is in-house? What is agency? Which one am I better suited for? Right, with what I'm trying to build. Then the PR friends, the friends that you have in PR, also talk to them about it. Oh, I see you always do this. You invite me to this press conference or that event. It looks like you have a lot of fun on this job. Can you tell me more, about it? And they'll tell you about the glamour side, right? And of course, tell you also about the strategy side of things when you are in the when you're in the office and just trying to brainstorm your way out of situations. Most of the times, those situations are definitely your client situations, and then there's sometimes when you suddenly need to just activate crisis comms, they will tell you about all the sweet things, and that way you just have enough information from your desk research to your engagement with your friends in PR. You'd be able to know if, okay, I think that I'm a fan of certification. I like studying, right? And I feel that whatever is worth doing is worth doing well.
Yes.
I don't like half-baked professionals. If you want to make a pivot into something, get all the information you can, get a certification. I did mass communication also at the Nigerian Institute of Journalism. That's what it was called then. But then there are several arms where you could do print, broadcast, etc. But the end of the certification is in mass comms, right? And I feel like the reason why you have a lot of the quality of content you have out there today in terms of wait, I need to rephrase that. Your training really prepares you for where you're going to. Sometimes when you start on the path of certification, you realize that, oh, I'm not sure I still want to do this thing. So I'm really a strong advocate for that. So yeah, speak to your friends in PR, number one. Number two, do a lot of desk research, find out all there is to know about PR and comms, so that you know that you're truly ready. And then of course, number three will then be, if possible, get a certification. These days, you can do that online. There's so many online schools, these days. Not sure if I'm allowed to mention a few names, but then you can get free certification from so many of these courses, and then that way you can then start mentioning to your friends, say, hey, you know what, I'm thinking of making a pivot. So if you hear of any openings, I'm happy to put myself forward for it. So yeah, and that's really is the way it is. And then start looking. start looking.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, because I mean, I've met a number of people that say, oh, I just think PR is about distributing press releases. And and I told a journalist one that said, I can't write the press release that you write. I said, I can't use the press release that you write for me. And he was surprised because is it not, we write the news reports? I'm like, no, that's why you need to get education. But yeah, a lot of people don't get it. But I'm even glad that you have shared this, and this is from your perspective as someone who has been in the media for a very long time and has made the pivot into comms. And so it's not just me saying now, it is empirical fact. It is evidential information. So thank you so much for sharing that. Now we'll get into today's tea. What would you tell your younger self? What is the one thing that you have learned and you would say to your younger self? Your younger self, the PR professional. I mean, you started in the media quite well, but when you got into comms, there were a number of things, right? So what would you say to that person that just started in comms?
It all works out in the end. It is hard work. It is hard work when it all works out in the end. And take it from someone who started out in journalism, writing all her life, right? And then moved into comms and said, oh, it's the same writing, right? So let's just write. And then you realize that it is not, your audience is different. Your audience is different. And as such, and there is client interest, 100% is what you need to always, what needs to be at the front and center of whatever strategy, tactic that you decide to just use. So, I mean, and yeah, it is hard work, but it all works out in the end.
It all works out in the end. So when I hear you say that, it seems to me like you're saying all PR is PR. You know how people say that all PR is PR. Is it similar to that?
No, not at all. First of all, I don't believe all PR is PR.
Thank you.
People tell you, oh, bad story, oh, it's part of PR. And like, no, you just don't have strategy. That's what it is. You don't have strategy. You just leave it, please. Leave it to the professionals. All PR is PR. Yeah, there's no way to tell me you're not a professional than you blotting out a statement like that. That's how I know the quacks. Yes, that's what they do. That's how I know the quacks. Professionals know that's not the case. So when I say it all works out in the end, I'm referring to the journey in itself. For some people will land that first role and they really like it. And they go ahead and stay in that organization for another 7-10 years. Some other people will land their first role in PR, right? They don't like it a lot. They like their day-to-day, right? But then they don't quite like where the day-to-day is happening. And so there's some sort of imbalance there, and then they desire more. They're like, I wish my environment was this way or that way. I like to also think that for some people, they will get that one big role that will fully define their careers. Like the one big role that will become the turning point for their lives. For some other people, it's going to be incremental. Okay. It will be one foot forward and then the next and then the next. And that's been more of my own journey. Right. So, and it is okay. It's okay for that to be your journey too. I recognize that in this time and age, a lot of people just want to get there like this. You know, you want to be on the speaking panel tomorrow, right? Even though you just started your career yesterday, you know, and then you want to be, you just want to be the one doing the media interviews, you know, be the one that is being quoted or whatnot. You see people look good, you know, and dress up, and you just feel like, oh, can I just be that person? It's a lot of grinding, a lot of hard work in the background. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with starting off in a smaller company and then grow from there. You take the next promotion, and then the next promotion, and then the next role, right? Well, for some people, their journeys might just be different. The first role might just be in one multinational. Do you get? And then they just have room to soar from there. So the organizational structure is already formed, right? And there's a lot of room for them to grow. And then more importantly, also the company is so wide such that there's no chance for monotony, in the sense that you can move from servicing this division to that other division and that other division. So even though it is one organization, there's actually room for you to have new challenges. So it's just one of the things that that people's pathways are different, and it all works out in the end. Just focus on your own journey. It's going to be hard. Honestly, I'm one of those people that feel like I'd rather start off in a small organization where I have a boss that is editing me directly, pointing out my mistakes to me. I have the chance to grow better, sink my roots deeper, really soak in all of the learnings that I can before I'm then released like a bird let out of the cage. At that point, I'm ready to conquer the world, right? But some other people, they're going to land, more glamorous roles as their first roles, and then make their mistakes more publicly, if you get what I mean, compared to someone else that has the opportunity to grow, to have their first role in a 5-10 man company, where all your colleagues are known and you're all able to edit one another. You're all able to sit down and brainstorm around stuff. You can run your thoughts through your colleagues. Someone can proofread what you've written. You can just bounce ideas off people. You hear even your seniors, you hear them talk, right? You see how they think about how they approach things, what informs strategy, what informs tactic. Oh, you involved early even in business development. It's more or less like you're exposed to everything every arm of the company, as it were. So I feel like someone that is brought up in an environment like that gets a lot of additional skills other than their technical skills, which they can then take to wherever next they go to. And if later on they decide to start their own company, they literally have the foundational skills already. So yeah, whatever it is, it will work out, honestly, at the end. It will work out. It's hard work, but then Lolade, just keep at it, and it will work out in the end.
It will work out in the end. Thank you. And while you were sharing all of this, I went back to my younger self, the version of me that was just, what now? Is it 3 months into this comms thing? And I remember when I made a major blunder, and it was on social media. I think it was on Twitter at the time. And we were on break, and I just put out communication. Oh, sorry, we're not in the office right now. And my boss was not having it. And I didn't even have a guide. I had come out from the newspaper, working online, writing my content, and then sharing it with the editor to proofread and all of that. Then I just get thrown in this deep sea, and all I needed to do was survive. And so, as part of my survival mechanism, I just told someone, "Oh, sorry, we're not in the office because we're not in the office. We're on break." And for whatever reason, it just became a mini internal crisis, and I couldn't sleep because everybody was just, "Oh, why did you do that?" And, but I just told them what happened. And it just took me back in time. It also took me to a time where someone stole my shine. And I want to ask that question. Have you ever had that experience where someone stole your shine? And how did you handle it?
I'm not sure that PR people are meant to be in the spotlight. I have always known that, right? It's nowadays, I think the tables are turning a bit. I think because my foundation or my early career years were pre-social media years. And so we are just comfortable with being in the background. we used to say then that, journalists, we are the star makers. We make the stars, right? We are not the stars. And we kind of just know our place. Ditto for a PR person, your job is to make your client look good, right? Yeah. And so before now that you now have LinkedIn and social media where people are now becoming personal brands themselves, before the days of personal branding, you were just comfortable just being in the background. I mean, the CEO will come out and make a statement and you would not know who wrote the copy. It's standard. So you don't even feel like, oh, they took your shine. It doesn't even cross my mind. As a matter of fact, when I hear him speaking with the TV reporter having his microphone right in front of him and he delivers the lines great, I am happy. My job is done. My job is to make people look good. So I don't even feel like somebody steals my shine. However, in an internal context, though, when we are maybe brainstorming ideas as a group, right, and we are trying to, crack something, what is this campaign going to be about? How do we, this client is celebrating 10th year anniversary, and we're trying to come up with this, main campaign that we're going to use for the comms. Right. And we need to go and make the presentation to the client. So internally, when everyone is brainstorming and sharing ideas, everyone just shares ideas, really. And then the presentation is going to be made to the client by the senior person, the lead account, the person leading the account makes the presentation at the end of the day. I think nowadays, some seniors, I do that myself, and then some other people at work, we do that too, where they say that, oh, so this was put together by, members of the team, and then they actually give you the mention, just to mention who and who worked on the campaign. And that's usually it. But I think I'm just used to not taking the shine. And so I don't even notice when it happens. I don't notice when it happens.
Okay. So for the person that wants to get credit for their work. So for instance, with putting the thought together, and I mean, there have been quite a number of situations. We've even seen it depicted in movies where this person goes all in. They brainstorm, they figure this thing out, and then they bring it to their superior. And the superior just says, okay, maybe discountenances what they have done. And then just makes it theirs, right? And after that, they just present it as their own original idea, ignoring the work that the younger person has put in. I think that does something to the younger person, right?
Yeah, definitely. Now that you have painted that scenario, I see what you're trying to say. And for me, when things like that do happen, what I am most likely to do is this. I'm such a document person. So this thing has been presented. I am likely to send an email. It's not going to be me fighting or whatnot. It's rather going to be things like, first off, if we are in the room and it is being clear that my idea or something that I've worked on is about being given to another colleague to actually go and execute, I would first speak up, in that room. I will make it clear to everybody in the room that I was the one who created that. And how would I do that? I would do that. Sometimes it's just in the simple acknowledgement, that I get like, oh, this is really great. Also, you want X person, to work on this document that I've created. Oh, that's fine. I'm happy to work alongside them if that works for them, considering that I put together the strategy and the tactics. I feel like there might be some other bits where they need my input, considering that it is my idea. I would make it clear in the room that I came up with this strategy, number one. And the things that I'm saying, it will be clear to people. Number two, I would offer to work with that person. Very likely I would put myself out to work with that person, but then I would say it in a way that says that, but it is, up to them. I'll let them say in a way that there's some other materials that they might find useful, which are not currently contained in the deck that has been passed over to them, which I could assist them with. Further research that I have done around the client or around another company that has gone through that kind of scenario in their past, and how they handled it, and how I've maybe been able to just tease out the facts from reading, I don't know what and what. I would make you understand that, all of the value is not in that document you have right now. Rather, there is more where that came from. So people in the room would understand that, okay, definitely this is where this came from, number one. The number two, if it's something that is being passed via email, where you've sent the presentation, emailed it to your boss, and then they've passed it on to somebody to execute, I will send an email. I says, depending on what language you use in your company. Some people use dear this. So for some people, it's just hi X, hello X, whatever it is. Oh, hi X, I'm so glad to hear your feedback on, I put the title of the document. I'm so glad to hear your feedback on this document that I have worked on. It contains, give you a quick rundown of what the document contains and part of how I was able to source some of those ideas, right? I understand that X person will now be taking over from this point, and I'm just putting this, I'm just documenting here, or I'm just trying to let you know that I am equally available if my help is needed in the execution, considering that I have researched the client and found out things about them. And I think that in this particular scenario, just go ahead and give you things that makes it clear to you that I did this work. And so I will send it to that boss. I'll copy in that person who is now taking over the whatnot, taking over the project, right? And honestly, if this has been happening, if this is a frequent occurrence in the company, I am very likely to BCC HR. I can't be petty like that, because usually when I feel like this is not the first or the second or the third time this has happened. In the past, I've escalated this to my line manager that I think this is happening, with when it comes to project, like I'm being bypassed. I do stuff and then someone else executes. I will complain to my line manager. I expect them to, step up and speak it whoever that other manager is. If that doesn't happen, it happens again a second time, I will document and just let it lie low. By the third time, honestly, I am going to be copying HR, because at the end of the day, my promotion is at stake and my growth is at stake.
Yeah.
I want to advance in my career.
Yes.
So, it won't go to the client side. We'll handle it internally, but HR will help us handle it.
Yes. Thank you. Hallelujah. And I'm also assuming that it's a HR that is actually HRing for the people, right? Not HR that is HRing for the management, because that's another thing on its own. I think I also want to add to that just in case you have a HR person that is HRing for the management and not for you, just take it like Lolade said earlier, it all works out, both good and bad. It all works out and it'll work out nicely for you. So I remember having I actually went out to cover this event, and I wrote a story, full page. Was it full page, or I think it was about 2 pages? I mean, the standard newspaper, full page, and someone says, "Oh, okay, send it to me. Let me help you publish it on my section of the paper." And I sent it to the person, and she publishes it. And that there's a style with writing the bylines. The senior correspondent's name goes first, and so her name went first. And then she took credit for my story, traveled out of the country on that, won awards. And every time I saw her make a win with my story, I cried. I cried. Right. Yeah, but that can be very painful. Yeah, it was painful. And I was so bitter about it. And I told everyone that cared to listen. At some point, I just went and copied the entire story and put it on my blog, because this is my story. I did the hard work. I wrote the entire thing, and all you did was maybe just edit it. So I should have just gotten the full credit for it. But she won awards with it. And looking back, I can smile because, well, it all worked out.
Yeah, I think that's the good thing really about today, because once upon a time, there was really no room for recourse. There's nowhere to go to, right? Yeah. But nowadays, people have their own personal brands. It's their platforms, right? You go ahead and put the story, for example, on your own blog, and you can tell your own side of the story if you actually want to be petty about it. Yeah. Right. If you really wanted to be petty about it, in fact, you will go ahead and email the award organizers that gave them that award and provide all of your rushes. Honestly, that is me. It's that's why I said that depends on how far you want to go with it. Really, because nowadays there are documentary evidence. You can just present that if you wanted to go that far with it. But again, like I said, the way my own background is, I'm so used to not being in the spotlight, right? It's such that nowadays, I mean, I have clients, I write op-eds for them. I write analysis pieces for them. Do you get? And what's it called? When I'm done writing these things for them, I go ahead and pitch it to media, and it's published in their names. And when you Google these names, these big names, you see that, I like reading you. Even you're reading their blogs on Medium, whatnot. Whereas it is a PR person who is churning out all of that content. But you see the name of the client next to it. So in so many ways, I am just kind of used to just being in the background for stuff. But if from this situation which you have described, if I go about a journalistic piece of work, like I'm not doing this for a PR client. This is not PR. This is not comms. This is journalistic report. I will get my credit. Because we used to say, as a journalist, the only thing you have is your name. It's that byline. That's what you have as a journalist.
True.
That's all. Some people will notice the byline, some will not notice it, and it's okay. But your byline is there.
Yeah.
So so if it's journalistic work, I'm sending in for publishing. I will be clear from the onset that my request is for your platform to publish it for me. That's in my name. Like we will both be clear on it. And then you would say, oh, okay, fine, we'll use it. Or no, if we use it, we have to use our own name or whatnot. Like it will be clear in my request. Like that person, I'm not sure if they knew that you 100% wanted your name on it. I don't know, But for me, I'm usually clear about it. Like this is what the byline is going to say. We would have conversations around it. So if you're comfortable with it, you go ahead and publish. But I will not send you a 2-page piece that was supposed to have my byline and you put another person's name on it. You would update it on your website, I'm sorry, because I will send an email after it is in the paper. I know with the paper you can't publish. I said, don't worry about the rejoinder. But the one you publish online will go further.
Okay. Yeah.
You will go further. So you would go and make that correction or that addition on your website. You will, honestly. But again, I'll not think about it. What's the cost of this? Is this going to cost me this relationship?
Yes.
Right? Am I going to need this person later on, need your platform later on for my clients? So again, you want to just weigh it like, what's the opportunity cost of my insistence on this thing? So, decisions.
I agree with this. So that was also the younger version of my journalistic self. Yeah. But I completely agree with this, and thank you for sharing that. I hope that someone is able to get some insights on how to manage situations like this from all that we have shared. Let me talk about your 18-month break. And I know that I can relate to it 100%, because I also got to a time where I was beginning to question my existence, and I was wondering what exactly am I in this world for? How did that time feel for you? And assuming that there is also someone that needs to take a break from work for 6 months, for 12 months, or even 18 months, or even 2 years, right? What is that one thing that you can say to the person, and what can they learn from your experience?
Sometimes career breaks are needed. They can be for different reasons, varying from burnout to sometimes family reasons, right? In my own case, I had taken that break to cater to my young family. That's why I did. However, these breaks, how we prepare for them, can determine the experience that we have while we are on the break. There's sometimes that we are the ones who decide to take the break. At times like that, you should have the foresight to plan, okay, what am I going to do with this break? What are the things I'm going to do to occupy myself, right? How am I going to spend it? most people who take career breaks due to burnout and then, just go on sabbatical, sometimes it's very common now that you see it on LinkedIn. People just say, oh, they're taking the 1 year off work. They're going to spend it traveling and this and that. They have like a whole itinerary. Nowadays, people are smarter enough to have things like that. But there are times that you don't even plan it and then it happens.
Yeah.
Right. You get laid off work, for example. And then you realize that actually I'm supposed to be on maternity in any case. So why don't I just go ahead and use this time for that? Or you've planned that you're just going to take like a 3-month maternity break and then get back to work. Or for whatever reasons, you're not able to go back to work after that 3 months. Maybe your body is not ready. Maybe your baby is not ready. Right. And your home is just not ready. The support you were hoping to have has not come through. And the children or the child need a parent. And you just have to make that sacrifice because you're a mom. So in my own case, that was what happened. I had just had, after my second child, my daughter now, I was out of, I was supposed to be on maternity in any case. So I was out of job, but then I was out of job and it lasted for 18 months. In that period, I thought to myself, you know what, my family is really young. My kids are 18 months apart. So I had 2 under 3s.
Under 3.
Yes, I had 2 under 3s at the time. And then even, by the time the second one came, the first one was just about 1.5. Do you get? So they're still very much. If I had 2 under 2s initially, before I then had 2 under 3s, do you get? Because their gap is just about 18 months and the such. And and my marriage was also young. Right. I had my first one, just about the first year after I got married. So I just needed to ground my family somehow. And I knew that I had to be the person to do that. As the mom of the house, I had to be the person to do that. So that's what the 18 months was for me. It's important to know that before this time, I had been working for nearly, almost a decade actually, 2006 to 2015, like 9 years. Yeah, almost a decade already. And I'm that work person. So it was just like, it was unplanned. I wasn't familiar with people taking breaks. I'm like, okay, now you're taking a break. What are you going to do? I'm like, I'll just take care of my children, right? So now I realized that mentally, I was not being stimulated. And so taking care of kids is different from mental engagement.
Oh, baby back all day, every day.
Different. And so I was not servicing my mental, myself mentally. And it began to get to me like, what's going on? I just felt useless. I was nursing 2 children, but I still felt useless.
Yeah.
Do you get? And so taking time off work, plan it properly. What I'd say is plan it well. Especially when it's things that you are the ones initiating it. Have a plan for what you're going to do in that period. That 12-month period, 18-month period, 2 years period. Have a plan, whatever it is, and then just set things in motion for your family, whatever it is you want to do. Consider all aspects of your life, all the things you are likely to miss, right? And have a plan for how you are going to fill in each need. From your mental need to your social need to your financial need, right? To your domestic need, your spiritual need. Like, have a plan for how you are going to meet all of those needs. Because if you don't have a plan, you get frustrated very quickly. So for me, I was taking care of the kids. I'm like, okay, what are we going to do now? I need mental stimulation. What then happened was that, I've always liked writing. Writing has always been my core. So I kept writing. And before you know it, I started a blog. That is WordPress.com. Let's show you WordPress.com. I started just writing about stuff. I'd go see a movie and come back and write a movie. Review that movie. I eat ofada where I went to make my hair. I write about what it's like, just buying ofada on the road, on the streets. Do you get? And so I realized that I was still able to do what I liked doing. And before long, I started getting platforms actually calling me and say, oh, can we republish this, your review of that? Or can you come and can you review this for us rather? we want you to, go through this, and then, oh, this issue has happened. Can you give us an analysis? What's your opinion on it? So I was able to still pick and choose what kind of work engagements I was able to do, because I had built something before going on that break. And what did I do next? The one more line of business then opened up for me, something I would have never thought of if I didn't go on that break. People approached me to review their manuscripts. I'm talking published authors, people writing novels. I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I've never thought of using my editing or writing skills this way. And before you knew what, I was reviewing manuscripts for authors, substantive editing, copy editing. I'm like, this is interesting. And up till now, it's something I do. So in that 18-month break, I found a different business pathway that totally utilizes my current skills, something I would never have thought of if I had not taken that break. Reminds me of something. Said, out of the strong came something to eat, and out of the eater came money.
Amen.
Well, yeah, so it was supposed to be like a bad patch, but that's what it ended up. It's sort of, I remember being approached by a particular brand at the time. They invited me to their office. They thought I was some sort of influencer, and I was wondering, what's that? Influencer, the term influencer had not become quite common, but they would read my stuff. I had good following on Twitter, and they knew that I had authentic conversations at the time. And so they called me to their office, gave me a brand new phone, because they're phone producers, they produce phones. Gave me a phone to go and use, and then do a review about it, because they didn't want to. They wanted me to actually use it and write about my experience, because they like how I write about my day-to-day experience. This was from me just blogging on WordPress while taking care of my kids. So yeah, I mean, it just opened so many other doors like that for me. I could say that, oh, I was an influencer. Me too, influencer, even though it wasn't a term at the time. But I got a new phone offer just like that. And yeah, a different business pathway, which I still use today, more than 10 years later. So a lot of things can come out from that break. Just have a plan, go into it, and then just be open-minded also, because things will come up. And then you should be able to have the discernment to see, okay, how does this align with where I'm trying to get to? So you can assess what the opportunities are, and then you can discern if this is something that you should just pursue. But yeah, it's really good. By the time I was done and came back into work, I came back totally refreshed, totally renewed, and I came into a new opportunity. So yes, it can be a great time for development. Also did some courses. So definitely map it well. It can be very refreshing. Very refreshing.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. It also takes me to the conversation we're having earlier before we started this recording, where you talked about seasons. And I know that one thing that happened, or one thing that kept me going when I took my own break, was the fact that I was in a season. And you talked about the planned break, making plans, deciding whether you want to travel or you want to just take the break to sleep, whatever it is you decide. It's also important to understand that, because there can also be the uncertainty that comes with unplanned breaks, especially. I think it's also important to understand that unplanned break is a season. And just like Lolade shared, in that season, find purpose, find something to do, find a course to take, because that break will not last forever. Seasons don't last forever. What happens after that break should be a refinement that has come from the season that you were in that space. Because sometimes we don't even know that we need a break until life forces us to say stop, and then we just stop, not because we plan to stop, but because life just says stop. And then you can just take that break to recalibrate. Thank you so much for sharing these gems. Thank you for sharing all of this knowledge. We'll go into the letter to yourself part now. Letter to your younger self. So you read it for like 2 minutes. But before we get there, Eniola, can you come up so that we can have the live reflection session?
Okay, thank you very much. I really enjoyed this conversation. It has really been insightful. something that stuck with me was, yeah, there is the hard work, but at the end, everything will turn out well. But really, there are moments where you are motivated, you are gingered, oh, you want to do this, you want to do this. And also there are times where you are not just motivated, maybe you are overwhelmed. There are a lot of things, everything is just too much, and you're like, oh, where do I want to start from? You are overwhelmed. How, in this moments like this, how do you navigate through that? And another question is, many people say, take it a step at a time, take it a step at a time. And there is also scenarios where you don't just want to do anything. And many people can term that as taking it a step at a time. So yeah, how do you manage that? Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Eniola. It's interesting the way you put it. A step at a time. Some people even do their own in leaps and bounds. That's how they go. They just go leap after leap. They don't do step. But I think honestly, at the end of the day, it's really important for you to remember that you are an individual. You're on your own journey. So at every point in time, make sure that you are on Eniola's journey and you're not looking at blessings, path to judge how yours is going. It's just really important. First off, when you talk about overwhelm is a natural thing. I mean, it happens to everyone. I think that for overwhelm, when it does happen, okay, it can happen in so many different ways. Sometimes, I think the one I would address is the mental one. Because sometimes I just feel like I have a mental overload. Like, okay, am I even the only one, Seth? I'm doing this one, I'm doing this one, I'm doing that one, and which one, Seth? I feel like I'm doing too much, and you just get overwhelmed like that. In times like that, what you need is perspective. Many times, if you're able to just put things in perspective, you then realize that, okay, perspective helps you to do something. When you're able to put things in perspective, next thing you're able to do is you're able to prioritize. When you have good perspective, then you begin to prioritize and say, oh, okay, actually, these are the key things I really need to do now. These other ones can wait. And since you're a communications expert, you are able to communicate this plan that you have to the other people that have asked you to do those stuff, right? So, for example, you have 6 to 7 tasks you need to do. All the managers have told you, this is important, do it now. Everybody always wanted it done yesterday, right? However, you then have to take a sit back and look at all the things that you need to do and prioritize and look at, okay, actually, this other one needs to go out now. This other press release that this manager said I should write for them is going to the client tomorrow afternoon. So in real sense, let me see if I can negotiate with this manager to get it across to them tomorrow morning. So that this other post, social media captions I need to develop, that need to go out today, I can write those ones first. So you just look at all of the things that you have. I like to say this thing about life. In life, we're always juggling balls. And some balls would always drop. It's just life. What you have to do is to make sure, again, back to season and phases. What you have to do is to make sure that the ball that drops is not the glass ball. The glass ball is the absolutely most important one. The one with the highest priority. And depending on the phase you are in part-time, it will change. When you're a nursing mom, the glassiest of glassiered balls you have is your infant. Do you understand? Every other thing, career, we can pick it up. Do you get? You've gone on that 9-month journey already to bring forth this child. So at that point in time, your priorities, is your breast milk flowing? Has it done their immunization? Oh, is there this? Do I have childcare to cover for me? That is your priority at that point in time. If you have finished maternity leave and you are back at work, you know that your employer expects you to also put in your 9 to 5 at that point. But you will first have made provision for your infant. Or else you will not focus at that 9 to 5. Forget it. Everything you are writing will have mistake. You suddenly will not know tenses. Your grammar will be out of sorts. The ideas will not flow. And then you just think you're overwhelmed. But really, it's just because you have not sought your priorities. and attending them to them in order. So just to recap, first off, it is you. In life, you're always juggling balls. Label your balls. These are the glass balls. This one is plastic. The thing about plastic balls is when they fall, they can bounce back. It doesn't break. So sometimes, like that 18-month break I took, at that point, my career was a plastic ball. I know it will bounce back. Do you get? Right now, these are the glass balls, and I focus on that. And while I'm doing that, I'm servicing some of the other skills to make sure that by the time this plastic ball comes back up, right, I am not I've not gone rusty. I'm still very much in demand. I have the needed skills, right, to still be relevant. So I'm not quite sure how much this has answered your question, but in terms of overwhelm, honestly, just stop first. Stop, lay out everything you need to do, right? Prioritize them. The things that will be at the bottom of your priority list, if you need to communicate to the managers that have assigned that task to you, let them know, hey, I know you've asked me to do A and B. However, right now I'm trying to do X and Y for Miss Blessing, right? My plan is to finish this one by 5 p.m. Then first thing tomorrow morning, I will get to yours and you will have it by 11 a.m. It's communication. If they know what your workload is like, they're humans. They're humans. And so they would understand too, right? So, and that's it. That way you can just go through things and then, everybody's happy at the end of the day. And make sure you take if you're not working that weekend, make sure you actually rest. Sometimes also we take on balls that we don't need to go to. Honestly, we just take on things that we really don't need. You know, you've had a really intense week at work. Why are you hanging out on Saturday again? You know, your body really just wants to sleep. It's not client work that you have to do. Why don't you just take the break? Do you have to go for that video? Do you get? Sometimes you just have to just think about things and just juggle it. I mean, weigh it and be ready for the cost, whatever you do. At the end of the day, it's all about making progress by time. Whether it's an inch today, then tomorrow is 1 meter, the next tomorrow is 2 kilometers. Just make sure you keep moving. Today is a step, tomorrow is a leap. So yeah, just keep moving, keep pushing. And yeah, at the end of it, it will all add up.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Really answered my question.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. This has been such an insightful session. I ain't gonna lie. Okay, so we will now go on to your letter to your younger self. So you have 2 minutes. We have overstayed our time and I apologize. But you have 2 minutes to read the letter to your younger self. Whatever you can read in 2 minutes, that's fine.
Oh, dear Lolade, how are you? Busy as usual, trying to connect life's dots, yeah? I know how tough it is to be taken seriously when you're young. And that's why I've come from the future to announce to you that you made it in the end. And you know what? It didn't even matter to you anymore. Not because you didn't care anymore, rather because you found the truth. That life is not linear and there are several pathways to the end picture. And contrary to what you think, that one mistake you really magnified, it didn't define you, because success is not linear either. It is layered. You see, that big picture, hold on to it. Very, very important. Hold on to that big picture. Don't let LinkedIn confuse you. Everyone starts small and our life journeys will be different. Some get the big career break that changes everything like a magic wand, while some, like you, get incremental opportunities that allow us to make all our mistakes in a safe and manageable scale where the effect is minimized, and then you can get mentored. Mistakes are for learning and growth, so make them quickly and learn swiftly. And I have good news for you. There are more mistakes in the future. Yes, It doesn't go away. And about that knot in your belly, yeah, that knot you feel in the pit of your stomach, that nervousness and worry that almost cripples you when you want to make a presentation or you're waiting for feedback on the press release you just wrote. Or sometimes it comes like judgment. Yes, that knot. It doesn't go away. I know. You think when you're grown up and you get that promotion and you're now the senior manager, head of comms, or you move to a new job and a more senior one. See, it is life's gift to us to keep us grounded and remind us that we are human. The knots won't go away, but as you grow, you will get better at handling it. You will come to expect that feeling every time you have to make a big decision, like transfer out of state, put yourself forward for a much higher role, ask for a raise that you deserve, make your first board presentation, lead the biggest client account for the company, or even giving your first TEDx talk or keynote speech. You will feel the knot. In fact, you will come to expect it. And when you don't feel it, you will look for it. It will become an indicator of sorts for you, your own personal measuring system. You will master fear and anxiety and use them as career tools. In the future, they will come less often. And when you don't feel the knot, you will know that the pursuit is not big enough, that you need to challenge yourself more, that you have been in your comfort zone for a little too long. And there's nothing wrong with that either. It's okay not to be on the offensive every single time. I mean, everyone should have a play days every now and then, right? But while the time is there, pursue those opportunities and master your knots. I feel like I've run out of time.
With love and light. Can we just give Lolade a standing ovation?
Thank you.
Because that was very real. It was unfiltered. It was honest. And it is my reality. Right. I mean, imagine traveling to the future and somebody saying, you see, everything that you thought was such a big deal. It's still a big deal. It's just like, you know how to manage it better.
100%. You master your knots, that's all.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for sharing this with us. Thank you for your candor, for your clarity. And thank you especially for peeling back on all of those layers one at a time. Thank you for showing us what it means to grow into, to grow in, and to grow even beyond communications. Thank you. And thank you again for helping us understand that it will all work out, whether it is good or whether it is bad. I'm especially going to leave this conversation with that. It will all work out, good or bad. And of course, everybody has their race. So you better know what you're running. Know that you're not running Tunde or Neka or Shola's race. You are running your race. And nobody, not one human being, has control of your race. Nobody has an idea when you will get there. Even you don't have an idea when you will get there. But you will get there because there is a creator, and the creator is in charge of your race. Remember that this journey is not linear. Dear young communications professional, if you're listening, I hope that you feel seen. I hope that something that Lolade has shared reminds you that even with those impressive titles and with the global work and with all that you have achieved, there is still the sense of uncertainty, there is still the struggle of identity, and then there is the learning to trust your voice. Remember that you are not behind, you are never too late. We'll be back with another voice, another story, and another letter to the younger self. Until then, don't just listen, reflect, write your own letter, and maybe even share it with someone coming behind you, because you never know what insights you have that someone else needs. Thank you for tuning into My Younger Self. Until next time, ciao.
To My Younger Self is brought to you by PR Fusions Africa in collaboration with Comms Mentorship Circle.